Hey, what is going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to Addicted Media Reviews and Westworld. My name is Carlo.
I'm Nick.
I'm Lucas.
And I'm Jasmine.
I'm glad to see that Lucas missed the cue this time, not me.
I know.
And we're going to be reviewing last night's episode, I should say, of Vanishing Point. Yes, I caught myself. I was going to say Lesas Chorches or whatever it was called. Remember, we are live, so please hit up our comments on the chat, and we'll get to them when we see them. And I'd like to say thank you to this guy right here for our new setup.
Yay.
With that in mind,
I hope this sounds better.
if one of us is consistently low, let us know, and that person will get closer to the microphone. We're getting used to the set.
Yeah, so Lucas here apparently hated our audio in the past.
I did.
So he wanted a new, better sounding equipment.
Yes.
So he went on Amazon and then got all.
Hey, don't give away our secrets. He went somewhere.
That's my
He
surprise.
went- okay,
No, we are sponsored by Shure and Yamaha and all these nice people who provided this wonderful sound equipment. No, we're not.
But if you do want to sponsor us,
But-
you know where to find us. Because apparently a certain channel knows that we exist. Anyways.
Honestly, this mic brings out Nick's sexy voice, so watch out for it. Oh my god. Wow. All right. Apparently
Jazz,
we haven't
you
retired
enabled
that yet.
him on that. You enabled him on that.
Too easy. Too easy.
Beer, what are we drinking tonight?
Yes.
Tonight. Oh, sorry, I went away from the mic.
What do
Tonight,
we have?
we are drinking a Go West IPA, which I picked out because tonight I am all about the puns. Because I am premiering a new show tomorrow called One and Pun.
Shameless plug.
You might
Shameless
wanna,
plugs.
put it a little closer to camera because it was a little washed out because
Here.
of the
Let me
lights.
see it.
Apparently, we sound like we're on NPR.
Well, there we go.
Nice. That's the
Here
best
you go.
compliment
One
we
and
could have
pun.
gotten.
One and pun.
One and pun.
And in case you missed that, I don't think anybody else has realized yet, but there's also another hidden message promoting One and Pun.
What?
His title card is over
Oh.
You really have to pay attention to get things in the show.
Hey.
there. Okay, so tonight's actually my favorite episode of the season.
Actually, before we start on the episode, I just want to say that it's this guy's birthday.
Yes, it is.
So much preamble tonight.
Yes.
Into the
Wait,
mic.
wait, wait.
Into the mic.
Happy birthday
no, we're
to
not doing that.
you. Happy birthday to you.
you. Happy birthday, dear Nick.
Okay, so what'd you get him?
We got him some cake, and it's right here. So throughout the episode, we can all eat some.
I actually knew this was coming. That's why I have forks.
Yes.
Wow.
So we have some red velvet, some
We
blueberry
got some new
cheesecake,
mics to
and
pick
some
up chewing
strawberry
noises for
cheesecake.
everybody out there. We are now an ASMR channel. Also, have you heard of ASMR?
I don't know what that means.
It is
Well, you have to show it.
a something I forget, but it refers to
You're gonna get cake all over the brand new cords.
No, I'm good.
All you
Sounds-
gotta do is move the cord, and then you can have your cake and eat it too.
it's like it's these fetish channels where girls like
Wow, that just
scratch the
came back
pop
out of nowhere.
filters. It's
Alright.
like cute girls that scratch the pop filters, and then
Oh,
like
I did hear about
they
this.
like whisper into the mic. It's using these like 3D microphones, but then it gets really weird because there was like
I like
one
that
girl
when you said
that's
3D microphones, you went like a this motion.
well, because it's this like weird, oddly shaped microphone, and this
I'll
one
take a
girl
fork,
was doing
Jazz,
all these like
thanks.
whispering
Welcome.
things, and then she just breaks out this like old poke bowl and starts eating the poke bowl into the mic, and then flicking the side of a Starbucks cup. It was nuts.
Is that what we're doing
It's
right
crazy. Well, you made it so.
You
Oh,
watched that
well.
episode multiple times just to know
Really?
all that detail.
Suddenly these
Look,
mics make a
too
lot more
much.
sense. A lot
Okay,
more
so
sense.
back to the episode and happy birthday.
That's right, we're reviewing something.
Yes.
Okay. This was my favorite episode of the season. I thought Japanese World was gonna be what was it called? What was that?
Shogun
Shogun
World?
Shogun World.
Was gonna be it, but this episode, knowing about the Men in Black, knowing about William, seeing his backstory, it was actually my favorite part of the season.
Dude, I absolutely agree. This was by far the best episode. I thought the one before, I thought Le Crochet, I thought that was going to be my favorite episode because it had a lot of action, but this one was just ridiculous. Like,
I do have to say is that Lucas made a great point earlier that this is the best episode for Father's Day.
awful. You're absolutely right. Maybe that's what their whole point was.
Well, and there's a couple like father moments in there, right? Because Ford and Maeve, Ford referred to Maeve as his favorite daughter, kind of, so to speak.
Favorite creation.
And, what else was in there? There was the Emily Man in Black thing. And then what is there? There was I guess what was the Teddy
protecting Dolores.
Yeah. So there's a lot of parallels this episode.
Are you using Teddy and Dolores as a father-daughter thing? Because that's kind of weird.
I mean, I wasn't, but
It went there. What about you guys? What stood out to you guys the most in this episode? Because to me, the moment that stood out the most was the hesitation that Teddy had killing the Indian dude.
Yeah. That was interesting because the scene before that, it brought us back to the first episode of the season where they were going through and they kind of took out the image from the what do they call it? Ghost Nation's mind. Yeah, and so that's where that scene came from.
Oh,
it was
I have that.
Yep.
I believe. There it is.
So right
As
there.
soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh, they're doing the scene from the first episode of the
yeah,
season."
they brought it back
to
It's a
explain
callback
why
to
she's
the
over
first
there
episode.
killing Ghost Nation people.
And now we see like the divide that they don't want her going to the Valley Beyond, or what they refer to it as the Forge, apparently.
Has she become the villain of the season?
I think so. Like I said in last season, I think she's there to kind of be the villain to.
I don't even think that's a question anymore because even Teddy knows that she's the villain of this story.
yeah, he pointed it out.
Teddy managed to pull out his humanity. How
Yeah.
did he do that?
Yeah.
They can overcome this evil programming, I suppose.
I think that's the point of Ford's programming, though. It's for them to have choices. Throughout this whole
Yep.
episode, he was saying, you guys have choices. You guys always have choices.
Absolutely
Oh,
agree.
paracetamol knew the ASMR. Sorry.
She's on top of things. She's in the know.
Another thing is, this was the first time the Men in Black was actually referred to William in his old age.
True. I'm still suspicious because he was referred to as William outside of the park.
Yes.
And I kept waiting for somebody to be like, nope, you're a host. I thought when she was going to yell at him, I think I have that. I really thought that she was going to say, like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm not the host. You are. But then she didn't say it.
I felt that too.
I don't think she knows.
She doesn't know. She doesn't. I mean, there's no way for us to ever find out.
I think what we're learning is that William, this darkness in himself that he keeps referring to, what we've been led to believe this whole time was that it was supposed to be his sociopathy, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like his hatred and
Thank you for explaining that, because some of us don't understand what that word means.
monstrous nature. But really, now what it could mean is that he's been dealing with the fact he doesn't know if he's a host or not.
I don't know if you guys pulled this scene, but to bring that up, why was he looking at his arm throughout the episode? Like, he kept referencing it, and I don't know why.
Well, because I think even William doesn't know if he's real or not. So it could be the aspect that...
That could be how Ford's torturing him, is planting seeds of doubt. Are you a host? Are you not?
Because he's really paranoid at this point.
So William thinks this game is the end. I guess what he thinks his end game is whether he's going to find out whether or not he's a host.
Question.
That's what you guys believe.
Mhm.
All right.
What did this mean?
That's what... And
Making
that's
sure he wasn't.
Exactly.
What does clear mean? Does clear, is that them officially saying he's not
human.
a host? He's human. But what is, if you read everything that's on there, it doesn't specifically say anything.
What is it?
Green is good, red is bad, apparently. That's what I thought.
Hmm?
Yeah,
So you're going by stoplight rules.
exactly.
It also could be, and it doesn't necessarily mean you might be a host. It could just mean that you're authorized to
I know,
be
Joe.
there.
Yeah, what does it say? Wait, what does it say?
Scanning for
restraint clearance.
Ordinance.
Restraint ordinance.
Restraint ordinance.
Like, that's almost like they already assume that he's a host, and they're scanning to see if something is on him.
I always thought that was making sure that whoever they're doing that to, it checks whether or not they're a host or not.
That's what I thought as well. But
That-
this was
and that's,
they
I
made a
think
point
that's
of
what
showing
the-
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we're supposed to be guessing. Right
And
now.
maybe that's he's like next level host. That's why he was able to pass.
Next level hosts. Do you think there's next level hosts?
Yeah, I think there's like hosts and there's like
'Cause
super
Bernard's
hosts.
one of those.
Because Ford clearly planning something from that minute in the bar that you saw him, and he was like, "Well, it looks like you're ready for the final game."
Mm-hmm.
Like he's been planning this for a while
Yeah.
to mess with the Man in Black, and the fact that everybody thinks the Man in Black is crazy, and his daughter thinks that he's crazy.
You think because Ford found out, like, oh, you're data mining and doing all this shit that you were not supposed to.
so? He's
so
like,
I'm
"I'm going to
ru-
mess
I'm
with your
gonna-
head
yeah.
and make you think that you're
I'm
a
going to
host."
ruin you for
Because
ruining
in a way,
the park.
he's already won because he got Ford to kill his own daughter. Not Ford. He got the Man in Black to kill his own daughter.
Yeah.
Damn,
Which
that's
is-
fucking tragic.
I mean, it was one of those things where it's like they hinted at that music box early on in the episode, and it wasn't until when they did the flashback to the mother about how she got his profile card because the mom hid it in that music box
Mm-hmm.
that apparently was thrown away. That was some deep shit.
This was like the first episode of the season where I had a lot of what the fuck moments. Like I had to take a second glance at the screen and be like, dude, he just fucking shot Emily, his daughter. Like what the fuck?
Can I say going back to the music-
Paracetamol says that scanner could be.
Oh, looking for the explosion thing in his neck. That's an extra.
Yeah.
Excuse you,
Oh.
explodey thing.
I was cleaning up the statement. I'd like to point out that I was creeped out by the music box in the beginning because she's wearing red, like bloody red gloves. Sorry, that was bloody
Interesting.
got gloves.
Or
Correct.
she
I
got
didn't catch
caught
that.
red-handed.
I definitely saw that and I was like, oh, what is the hint here? Why is she like?
And she has suspenders. Apparently.
I don't
Covering-
think the suspenders
Violent
have to do
suspenders.
anything.
I thought that was to help with our suspension of disbelief.
Oh, yeah.
This is gonna be one of those episodes, isn't
It
it?
is indeed.
I'm going to need 3 beers tonight.
I'm gonna cut his mic.
Indeed.
Do you guys have the scene or the exchange between William and his wife arguing?
Yes, but I got
because-
the tail end of that.
wait. Before we go into that, I
Oh.
I do want to say this. This is the other episode that Nick has been hinting at all season about zombie hosts.
Yo, oh my God!
Wait,
yes!
yeah, I wanna show that.
was
I wanna
gonna go
show that.
next. God damn it!
Just saying.
Oh my God! I was so
Clementine made them all zombies,
Dude, I was thinking that. Oh,
and like straight up like biting into each other, ripping
Yes!
out blood. Like damn.
it was crazy. I
So
was like,
yeah,
what
so
the-
that's what I wanted to ask, like what they did. So they kind of like did some derivative programming from Maeve and applied it to her
correct.
to just apply like
Like one
can
command.
we wirelessly
Yes.
wirelessly make them just violent.
Yep.
just
Okay.
want to attack each other.
It was almost like the rage
Oh,
virus.
so they can just take down all the hosts.
It's
and-
basically
Yeah.
they took the virus that Maeve had, modified that code, and applied it to her. So
But Clementine's like the wow, what's the word?
Control.
She can send it out,
She's like
Yeah.
the
like
queen bee.
patient zero.
yeah, patient
Yeah.
zero,
Patient zero.
basically.
but she doesn't have it
I liked my
in a way
reference
because
better.
she's
Yeah, that's the
not
wrong
attacking
terminology.
anybody that way.
and
She
she's
just has her hand.
She's the weapon.
yeah, she's the weapon.
the
She
weapon,
probably
yeah.
got reset, so
She's just
they have
Neoing.
her control. They can control her.
Neoing.
But as I
Makes
said,
sense.
Nick got his zombie episode.
Zombie
And
things happen.
Probably more zombie things are going to
I
happen.
even have it on here. Zombie Angela, zombie host, rage virus.
It was going to happen eventually. They are primed and ready for a zombie apocalypse in this park.
So
Apparently.
are we gonna have a Westworld Walking Dead crossover?
No,
Oh no.
no,
Oh
don't.
no.
Different networks. One is a good show. One is worn out its welcome.
All right, so you were saying the other
Ouch.
clip that you were talking about. What was it?
The exchange between the man in black and his wife.
Was that it?
I have the tail end of that where she's there, she's fighting with them all, and then Emily walks in, and she's like, "Emily, your father doesn't love you. She doesn't love any of us. He's an asshole."
Yeah, this is really great because I don't know, it really showed like how the man in black was able to hold this persona in front of the public, but his wife was the only one that knew who he really was.
Was that because she's been seeing and noticing his acts of violence in the park?
No, well, she only knew based off of what Logan was telling her. But I kind of got a little teary-eyed when she was going through like her explanation of, when I first saw you, you had this shabby suit, and you were the only one that was real. Everyone else were fakers. And then she's like, but you know what? You're the biggest faker of them all. And I was like, damn. And she was the one that had to pay the price. It's like, here he is doing great things, but he has like this fake.
Well, she had to pay the price. She had to kill herself. She couldn't just expose him.
Well, what was interesting to me was like, apparently this chick really loved him.
Okay, I get that. But the question is, did he, as dark as he got, is part of the problem with her that he fell out of love with her and into love with... What are the two of you laughing about?
I wish we could go to tape, but Carlo thought the nice little decorative clover
Please
on
don't
the
say
piece
titties.
of cake was edible.
I thought it was chocolate.
Oh my God.
And
Excellent.
I think he
Excellent.
swallowed it.
Excellent. All right. Well, continuing the trend for Carlo.
Wait, it's not chocolate though?
No, it's just cardboard.
Moving on to, the review.
It was still good,
of
though.
the show.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, Jazz. What was that? Did he fall out of love with his wife because he was in love with Dolores?
Yes, he's obsessed with Dolores.
I don't think so.
He's obsessed with Dolores.
No, if you remember,
Because,
No.
wait, they even showed... I have it. I know I have it.
Here's my theory. I think that's how it started.
Because even in the party, he saw Dolores. He's always thinking about her.
Exactly, and that's how I believe it started. He wanted to go to the park to see Dolores because initially he had this infatuation over her. But I think that evolved. It evolved into the aspect where it became bigger than Dolores. It
So
became the aspect of, I just want to be in the park because then I'm free without consequence. Why anyone else wants to go into the park?
So you think she's a symbol, or she represents everything that William really is? It's like his true nature, because it's interesting that you say that.
So many cans.
That Dolores is the villain essentially of this season. So she's almost like doing everything that like William wants to do.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, the way I see it is maybe not necessarily to that extent where she gets to do everything that William wants to do, but in a sense that she's the symbol in his eyes of what the park is.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of the first hosts that we know that was created. She was one of the first hosts that he was introduced to, if I remember correctly.
Sorry, I'm showing the clip of the wife going through his profile.
Yeah.
To talk about your earlier point. But,
But-
you can continue.
I think going back into it is what I said earlier. It's Dolores was what got him into the park. It was the taste of that world, and the world just sucked him in. And it's kind of like being addicted to video games. Some people like playing video games as a hobby, but then they just get sucked into it.
Very, very, a very current event that you just referenced.
Yeah.
Did you read that today?
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can't
No, I
do
like
that
it.
without explaining people what you guys are talking about.
Go ahead, Lucas.
Explain.
Oh, the
What that
World
means.
Health Organization just classified video gaming as an addiction,
Mm-hmm.
or you can be addicted to video games, like clinically addicted.
Well, who can classify anything as an addiction?
I think the production company would prefer you not to talk about things like that. We are called Addicted Media with a video game show with drinking.
Where is it?
So this group is violently against
Yeah.
this ruling by the World Health Organization.
So we need a support group. We need an intervention.
All right, moving on.
Yes.
All right.
Let's talk about the death of Emily.
Oh my God, the woman in brown.
I mean, that moment where he pulls the card out, was anybody really surprised at that point that card kind of, the profile card proved that she was actually Emily? Or do you think that's still just another red herring?
It could be a red herring. To be
Because
honest, I don't know.
They showed the mom putting the profile card in the music box, and that was heartbreaking too, because her whole story about yelling at the mom and throwing out the music box and then it disappearing, then you found out that the mom took it back.
Yeah.
Like, that whole thing was heartbreaking.
I don't. Yeah, this is something where it's like not everything can be like a hint to something else or have deeper meaning.
Like, I think this is Emily for sure.
This
now.
is definitely Emily. Now the question is the scene, not the scene immediately after this, but the scene of the Men in Black after this moment. of him trying to cut his arm open.
Oh, wrong reaction. That reaction.
Yeah.
That's the scene that we'll find out hopefully in the next episode, where is he really a host. Now, because they showed it that far, personal opinion, I don't think he's a host.
But he is going crazy.
He is going crazy.
So Ford's plan is working. He went all. They keep doing this shot. They did this shot a few episodes ago with Ford, with holding the gun like Scarface style.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like this is a sign of this is humanity's reaction to crazy hosts, is they just get the gun and start killing everybody.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, the only reason why I think that he is a host is because he was referencing his arm like this whole time in the season, in this episode, and then Bernard went to his arm also to upload that thing, like
right afterwards.
But see,
Yeah.
here's my thing. And this is my thinking of why it's not a host. As a content creator, like, if he is a host, that brings that whole action of him killing his daughter to a whole nother, like, down a notch. There's really no...
Now it's more fun to think about the fact that he's a real person and Ford has fucked with him and really got that revenge for everything that Delos did to his park and is currently doing to the hosts.
Exactly. Like, there's more weight to his action killing his daughter than if he was a host. So, in that
Mary
sense...
Poppins thinks that him being a host is too obvious now. Does that mean, Mary Poppins, that you think he is a host, or do you think that he's not?
Yeah, no, that he is. Yeah, that he is. It's what I. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I thought that what Ford was saying when he gave him the profile thing was that, like, yeah, we painted your picture, like we got your profile, not completely you, but this is what we got. And then
And it's dark as
and it's
fuck.
dark. Like you personally are very freaking dark. And so that's why this host, like, it almost is like killing his daughter was this last step.
Can I say one of the primary photos? Sorry. just
Hey,
let me
wait,
jump in
sorry.
real quick.
Hey, SC, sorry.
Hey,
What's
welcome
going on?
back,
Yes, he's
SC.
back.
Nice to have you.
So you're saying?
Me or him?
Oh, I was just going to say it was pretty dark that one of the primary things that his wife saw in the profile was the man in black dragging Dolores to the shed where he raped her every time he went to the park.
Was it rape though? Because
It
I
was
thought
implied
it was
last season that he dragged her to the shed to rape her and kill her.
I never really thought it was rape. I thought it was more of questioning her as to where the maze was.
Maybe you're right, but I think last season they talked a lot about it being like some, like, because if he was just questioning her, I don't think everybody would be as pissed off at him.
Yeah.
I think it was darker than that.
Okay, I just want to bring this up, and this is like a sidebar to everything that we've been talking about. But like, there's a quote that Robert Ford said to the Men in Black. He was like, "For a self-portrait, you may find it's not very flattering." And for some reason, it reminded me of Dorian Gray.
Interesting.
Because they're talking about immortality, and they're talking, Dorian Gray.
And you've
the
been all about
novel.
why would you make a host version of yourself that's old for episodes now. You've been complaining about that.
Yes, that is true.
So why would he do that?
Oh, and Ben Barnes is actually Dorian Gray. He portrayed him in one. But I digress. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because that's really interesting.
Well, speaking
that's
of
what
quotes,
it reminded me of.
because I had a quote that I really liked as well. Hold on, let me find a picture that goes with it.
By the way, sorry,
talk
Mary Poopin thinks that he's not.
He is not a host.
In this scene, I really like the Ford. Oh, tap the mic. I really like the Ford quote where he says, "You know the deal we made. Delos." No. Sorry, the Man in Black said this to Ford. Delos stays out of your stories. You stay out of the valley. I thought that was one of the most like blatantly like, here's what's going on in this crazy ass park. Is that they're letting Ford play around with the hosts and do his little stories, not understanding what Ford's really doing, so that they can play in the valley. And Ford is kind of this like, I know what you're doing. I'm gonna get you all in the end.
Yeah, he said something like, I know what your little project is, or something like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, paracetamol. That's right. He loves
SC's
the Dorian
asking.
Gray comparison.
Yeah, go address SC's question real quick.
Yes.
Basically, what she said is, what's Emily's ties to Charlotte? Who she said invited her there? Why does Charlotte want to expose the MIB? And if that's her real motive.
If everyone keeps calling the MIB the boss, and at the same time people have this deferential treatment of Charlotte. I'm wondering if there is a power struggle behind the scenes, and she knows that the proverbial chink in his armor is that he goes to this park and goes crazy, and that if his family and everybody in the real world knew what he really was, then the MIB would have no power.
Yeah, my
it's like, get his daughter here, let her see it for herself.
Right. My thought as to like why William would be a host in the first place is so that he can maintain control of what's going on, to maintain appearances in front of people like Charlotte and other like board members and stuff like that.
I can see that. We're not eating enough gummy bears.
Am I okay? So, I have a question here.
Hold on 1 second. There's something important that I have to call attention.
Oh, gummy bears!
Oh God.
So I have a question here.
Hmm.
When we all know that Ford is part of it, or at least was, maybe still is part of Bernard's mind, he also made a copy of himself into Maeve's mind.
Well, that was just one speech.
True.
Yeah.
That was just him like ghosting in to like say his piece and then get out.
Possibly. I mean, my thinking is if he can do that, could he do that on to multiple other hosts?
You never know. But I mean, from here we know it seems like Bernard got him out, but Ford was okay with Bernard getting him out.
Yeah.
It was like he went into the code, he found the Ford parts, was like delete. But you're right. Maybe the show was okay with this because there's now pieces of him in Maeve.
True.
And Maeve is the more powerful host to be a part of.
I actually almost cried when I saw that scene because it was, I don't know, it was really nice to see and confirm that like he had written this whole story for Maeve, and you know she went back for her daughter, like as you said, like he wanted her to leave, but she was like, nope, I'm gonna get my daughter.
Yeah, it was interesting because there's a lot of comparisons with this interaction and the interaction he had with Ake. Kind of like both of them like surprised him. So it's like, how much does Ford like? What's his involvement in like all the things that are transpiring? Because he seems pretty surprised at some of the stuff that's happening out of these hosts.
If you go like mythologically, like religiously, like God, God gave us supposedly free will. And is surprised at some of the ridiculous choices that we make. And there's that obvious comparison that Ford is the god of the park. And he is surprised and somewhat pleased to see them making these choices. They weren't his plan, but their choices where he's like, I appreciate that. You came back out of love for your daughter. You came here and you're doing all this because Ake loved this woman. It's like he's surprised at the depth of their emotions, that they have these feelings that he maybe in a way hoped that they had. But he didn't have the faith that they would have it the way that Arnold did.
Right.
But I did like that it's like Arnold's favorite was Dolores, and now we know Ford's favorite was Maeve. So even more so, there is that coming to a head, who's going to win. And does this somehow make Arnold a villain as well?
I don't think so.
You know, there's a part of me that's going back on thinking that Dolores is like full villain. Like she was,
because I think that's the whole point of the Teddy event was to like reel her back. So now she's gonna have some.
Just real quick, I think we killed Joel for a second because he said R.I.P. headphones. So at some point, one of us was probably a bit too loud and screamed into a microphone. So let's be careful about that.
I'm sorry,
let's
was
keep
that
up the
me?
NPR voices there,
Yeah.
Jazz.
Welcome to tonight's
Okay.
episode of
If
Westworld
you
Reviews.
can feel a big laugh coming on, just step back a little bit. That's all.
They told me to
That's
talk
all.
into the mic this whole time.
I do
I'm
like
sorry.
Paracetamol. I 100% agree. The "Let me get my daughter" storyline I thought was a beautiful point and a beautiful moment to know that, because we've been debating this for a long time. What was Maeve's free will and what wasn't? Get my daughter was her free will. That love is the free will in Westworld.
Do you guys think that she's actually going to be dead?
Oh,
Or
no.
is she going to die?
Maeve?
She's gonna
No.
kick some ass. You saw her rewriting her programming there.
Yeah, and then
I'll show that scene that I pulled again at the end of this clip.
he's
You
like,
see that her mind is working and she's doing some stuff.
"Don't let them win." That was Ford's message to her, so she's gonna fucking come back with full force.
Camera pans over. It shows her screen, and there's stuff happening, and it's happening because of her.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She's rewriting. She's doing something. My guess is she's calling her compatriots to herself.
Save her ass from that table.
Either that, or she's activating all the dead hosts in the building to come and save her.
All the zombie hosts.
Is he still talking? Cause
Oh.
you're on.
I'm going back and forth.
Okay.
So
Who's he?
I got a question.
Probably Ford.
SC, I'm sorry. We missed your initial, when you made that comment. Sorry, Carla, to interrupt you. Is the he you're referring to the Ford?
Anyway, go ahead, Carla.
Well, while we're trying to figure that out, I'm jumping back and forth again, but going back to the end of the episode after Teddy kills himself. What does that mean for Dolores? Does she realize that she's the bad person now?
Yes. I think that was a big eye-opening moment for Dolores, that despite her changing his programming, he was still able to find the real Teddy inside him. So even now, Dolores is still learning stuff about what consciousness is, basically.
And I get that, but does she realize her decisions? Because at the end of the day,
Now she does. Now she had to learn the hard way.
well, in this scene, yeah, like she realized that, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's gonna change.
There's some nice symmetry here because it's almost like she is making, and Teddy told her this, you're making the same mistake as the humans. You tried to control me. You tried to rewrite me because it wasn't convenient for you.
Yeah.
But the question still remains: what do you guys think she's gonna do? What do you guys think she's gonna do in the next episode?
Oh, she's still going to the valley.
Yeah, she has to go to the valley. I mean, yeah, she's probably pretty sad about what Teddy did, but like, look at her reaction about her father.
I think she's gonna side with Maeve.
You think they're gonna combine forces
Mhm.
and be like two badass bitches?
Oh, I still see them button heads. SC clarified it was back when you mentioned if Ford had implanted in Maeve or simply sent her one message.
Oh, he may have done it before. Okay.
Refresh my memory.
It's back to, is a piece of Ford inside of Maeve now, or is it just a message that he transmitted to her through Bernard?
I think through dialogue in the episode, it was just a message.
Yeah, because he made it kind of clear, like, he wanted to get that message to Maeve through Bernard. So he's like, Bernard, it's fine. Like, you don't have to go in. She can get whatever she needs through your mind right here.
Because see, when he presented himself in front of William in the Mexican town, he was still technically in the cradle, so he could still bounce between hosts at the time. I think. I mean, that's just a.
How much
just an idea.
does the Man in Black know about the cradle? Like, how did he not?
I think he knows everything about the part.
Because if he saw
Oh,
he
yeah.
saw dead Ford and then all this was happening, how did he not kind of figure out that dead Ford, some version of Ford, was in the cradle?
Well, it's
messing with
interesting
things?
because maybe he didn't really know about the cradle, considering he was like, hey, Delos stays out of the Valley Beyond, and we don't stay in Delos' business.
Delos is in the Valley Beyond. They stay out of the park, which I guess your point is still clear. But for the Man in Black was saying they wouldn't be part of the cradle because that's all park business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm agreeing with you, but just clarifying your point.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. I still don't know what it is. I'm just kidding.
So what other aspects of the show do you guys want to talk about? What about you guys? Any aspects of the show that we missed that you guys want to talk about?
I want to talk about the Forge because that was the first time that they put a name on it. Before they would call it the Valley Beyond, someone actually called it the Forge.
we haven't talked about Bernard Elsie.
One line I want to hear in the finale: "Use the Forge, Dolores."
No.
Oh,
We're punning. We're still
terrible.
punning.
I'm gonna segue
One and Pun
that.
premieres
that
tomorrow at
Jazz,
7 o'clock in the morning. New
Jazz
show. All me.
Jazz Paracetamol agrees with you that she also wants to see two badass bitches fighting everyone.
Right? Yeah. The female characters are strong in this series. Or in this show.
The Forge is strong in them.
Fuck. Damn it. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Forge, or we're going to talk about Bernard and Elsie?
They kind of coincide because he was the one that knew what the name of the Valley Beyond was.
He's the only one that referenced
Because
it as the
cradle.
Forge.
Well, there's the
Right?
cradle.
Paracetamol agrees with you, by the way. She wants to see two badass bitches.
That was my.
I just said that.
Okay, never mind. Apparently, you don't want to see badass bitches. But she said, I agree with Jazz.
Yeah.
I am quoting the comments.
I referenced that.
He just said.
Oh, never mind. I was preparing a pun.
Oh, pun it. Pun it up. Pun it. Okay, continue.
So okay,
Elsie, Bernard, that was your point.
well,
Yes.
I was gonna say, going into the whole Ghost Nation running away guy, what happens to him?
He lives to tell another tale.
Are we gonna see him again?
We're gonna absolutely see him because where's Ake this whole time?
I was just gonna say this whole scene, Ake is not there. His
Mhm.
other Mohawk friend is there,
Yeah.
but Ake might be already at the valley doing
That
stuff.
was like his right hand man who he in the last episode or 2 episodes ago
Did you say episode?
episode
Okay, continue.
he did the whole engraving of the maze in his scalp. You guys remember that?
Yes. Persona wants to talk about the forge.
Yes. Forge.
Then let us forge ahead.
Damn.
Help us.
So the forge was okay, so they finally
If you think this show has a lot of puns,
yeah.
wait till you watch One and Pun.
Let's go. Yeah, wow.
So again, Nick, when does One and Pun premiere?
When does One and
Tomorrow
Pun?
at 7 a.m.
Tomorrow
Tomorrow
at
at
7
7.
a.m. guys, so
Where?
tune in.
on the Addicted Media channel.
Addicted Media.
Links in the description.
Link is in the description. I'm just
Wow.
copying.
Are you just
Carlos.
being an echo?
I'm being an echo.
Thank you, Parrot Jazz.
All right, so the forge. So we finally know what it does. It copies
It's an
the
energy field that
guest
surrounds all living
cognition via their hat. So it
Oh,
doesn't even
yeah,
matter.
that's what I wanted to talk about too.
It doesn't even matter if you're wearing a white hat or a black hat or a
Wait,
brown
by the way,
hat.
can I say the beer that I wanted to get tonight because of that fact was Magic Hat, but I could not find it in the store I went to because of that reason.
That would have been amazing.
But I
Because
was like, so cheap to say
You-
the hats are scanning your heads and then not to show anything inside of the hats.
That's-
Just be like, there's just
do
magic
you
hats,
think-
but you
but-
can't
oh,
see it.
Do you think
Where
that's
is
why?
our hat?
Do you think?
Jazz, put it on.
Do you think so? Is that why the hat is in the title sequence now?
Yes.
Yep,
I
that's why it's
absolutely
there.
agree. And then a sidebar to that, they apparently have an animal theme. I just want to say that the first animal in season 1 was a horse. The second animal in season 2 was a buffalo, which
Well,
I have yet to discover
I want to
why.
answer SC because SC is asking, how does the door relate to the forge? I think the door, Ake thinks it gets to the outside world. I think the door actually, because remember there was all that equipment and machinery in front of it. I think everything about the door is literally the storage. And they were saying it this episode. It's the storage of all the mines that they've stolen
Yeah.
from the guests in the park.
Yeah, because they've been
So
copying
Ake's-
the cognition of the guests.
So Ake is just completely wrong about what the door is.
It's not to get out of the park. It's literally a data store.
If
Yeah.
anything, the door is a
He's
It's-
not wrong. He's
it's
just
a
under the
door
wrong
for-
impression.
it's a door for humans to get to
Yeah.
immortality if it works, but
Even-
it does nothing for hosts.
Even Dolores said the door doesn't bring you into the real world. We're gonna use whatever is behind that door. We're gonna use against them. I want to get to the real world.
Well, she's also asking, or is there a park where people can visit their rich dead relatives that have uploaded themselves? What if there's like a cradle type world beyond that door where you can't physically go there, but you plug in like Bernard did, and you're suddenly there with all of these guests that have been uploaded, and you can talk to them. And
Welcome
Delos is
to
there,
the
and
Matrix.
a type of Ford is there, and maybe now an Emily is there.
So this is a man-made heaven or hell.
It could be. It could be. We're talking about different worlds here. This would be a different type of world.
I think that's a little reaching, a little too far.
Well, that was my crazy theory for the week,
Crazy
so deal with
theory.
it.
Damn.
you have to announce crazy theory of the week.
Fix it in the highlight reel. And now for
Theory.
Nick's crazy theory of the week.
I want some cake, even though I'm not supposed to eat this. But I'm gonna eat it.
Gummy bears.
You're gonna have some cake and eat it too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's why it's in front of me. Easy access.
Going to the soundboard.
So
Actually, I'm gonna visit it real quick.
It's not me dropping everything
that's him.
this episode.
So Mary
this
Poopins is
time.
asking, what if they don't wear a hat?
That's exactly what my next question was. I was like, so how do they, what do they do in the other worlds? How do they collect the data? Do you, if you're in Raj World or Shogun World, what are you wearing?
Well, my question too is, the hats are generally worn by men. Does every woman who comes into the park wear a hat?
I don't think
Well,
I've seen it.
Well, to
'Cause
me,
we know
it's-
Emily did, but
Emily did, but it
I think it actually probably has to do with clothing. it could be in some piece of clothing that they give them. Because obviously, like in season 1, when
Joel,
you
don't
go
quote Coco to me. We're live and nobody wants to cry.
when you go through the door, you have to wear some of the clothing, right? You get dressed up in clothing that they give you.
Through.
So
So you couldn't see it on screen, but Lucas tried to squeeze through the side and didn't make it.
You try
well, in his
Didn't
defense,
drop a
that's-
bottle though.
Oh wow.
At least I could fit through that gap.
So, wow.
No, it's all right. I believe in fat shaming.
Jazz, I
It's
believe
fine.
it's because Carlos so small.
Wait, what are we talking
I'm
about?
just getting hate everywhere.
So, I think the hat just represents like what a little piece of technology that they would put in the hat, but I think maybe it's in part of the clothing depending on like what world you go to.
Now I'm curious to go back and look at every female host and see. Ooh, I touched the mic.
Female host, female.
Female guests, sorry, and see what they're wearing on their heads. Are they all wearing hats? Are they wearing something there? Because it
Some
has
of
to
them
be on the
don't.
head.
No, some of them don't. But I think it has to do with the clothing that they give them.
Well,
Like,
here's the thing. Everyone gets scanned one way or another. I'm assuming there's some type of chip that's on their neck for,
No, it said
again.
it had to be in the head, had to be scanned in the brain.
I think the hat is just one method.
Lucas, you're contemplating something there.
I just thought that was a really silly way that they thought of to like make these like brain scan profiles. Is like put them in the hats, but we got to make sure they're wearing the hat the whole time. I don't know. It was
SC
just
is
it was a
wondering
little
if they
silly.
all have to go to Westworld first, and get scanned by wearing stupid hats.
Kind of like an introduction world.
Yeah, and then they go to the other parks after they. But
Well, that's the thing. Actually, you made a good point. Because people are trying out different types of clothing, the chances of everyone putting a hat, regardless
Yeah.
if they wear it, doesn't really matter.
Yeah, 'cause
so
I
you might
could-
say metaphorically they've tried on many hats.
We can go back to
Oh,
Twitch.
you
Is the
set
sound?
him up
Are
for
we
that.
out of sync?
You set him up for that.
Why, how are we? I think. What?
People watching online, let us know if we go out of sync. It'd be
Yeah,
very
just let us
helpful.
know. And if we're too loud or if I break headphones.
But I'm just saying, like, as you're trying on clothes, entering Westworld, or doesn't matter what world you're entering, you might try on a hat. For all we know, as long as you put it on for
But the
2
point
seconds.
is, they want it scanning you as you do the various actions. They want
Yeah.
to see how your brain reacts to killing and raping and torturing and going on adventures and being shot at by hosts and whatever dark deeds you do that you would only do in the park.
I think for a park that has realistic hosts, I think they could put shit in other attire that can scan cognitively.
I
I'm
don't.
just saying.
We're in
Mary
sync.
Poopin says
Okay.
that it's in sync, so
Okay,
I'm
good.
going to trust that.
Well, here's the thing.
Oh,
If
by the
y-
way, who wants to be depressed? Who wants to be depressed?
Not really.
Depressing photo,
No.
gruesome photo of the night.
Definitely. And she was really blue. You know what? I
The
just
water looked bloody, by the way, and there's pills. Did she slit her wrists and take pills?
That's what I was confused about. Was the water got darker, but they showed the pill bottle.
You know what?
Also, how long was
Is it
she
a bottle
up?
of razor blades?
How long was she up there
Dude,
for
there
the
were-
water to get through the floor of a very nice house?
Right? There was a part of me that thought
That's
that
what-
William
that's
took
what I
her
thought
out because
too.
she knew
I was
too
like,
much.
This is
How
such
long
an
were they having that
expensive
nightcap?
house.
Well, not only that is also the aspect that she did this after reading William's profile on
Thank
the
you,
park.
SC.
Like they were sitting there for a long time.
Yeah. Well, no, he was sitting there for a long time. He's probably on like glass number 2. Hey,
But she
fuck
did
it,
say she called
McAllen's
the
straight.
doctor.
That's right, William.
She did say she called the doctor.
Good choice.
So that might have
on
been a long phone
scotch.
call with the doctor. Mom would have had time to fill up the bathtub and let it overflow for a little bit.
She probably took the pills and then cut her wrist.
Just to be sure.
Yeah, just to be sure.
Gruesome.
I really thought that at one point it really did cross my mind that I thought that he might have done something to her.
Same here.
I was like, when he poured her a drink or something, I thought that he probably like,
I was like, what's in that water?
yeah.
What's in that water?
I was like, he's like, bitch, you know too much. I'm just
She's the only suspicious one.
only
get rid of
suspicious
her.
one. She's
Let's
like,
mind that B word.
oh,
I'm just kidding.
I think, Lucas, I think Jasmine's the only one allowed to say it.
absolutely.
Okay.
That's right.
I'm completely lost right now.
Biatch. How does that sound?
Normal space.
So Ford and Elsie, I want to go back to that because,
Oh, other depressing photo of the night.
oh my gosh.
Elsie crying.
Oh, is that the first time she cried?
Girl, go back to dental school. Jeez,
Oh,
like,
sorry,
have you
headphones.
not seen enough?
She was so shocked by Bernard betraying her, and to me, it's like, why? He's a host. He's not in control.
Really, like, how much have you, like, you've seen so much already, like, he promised you he wasn't going to hurt you again, which in TV means he's going to hurt you again.
I feel like Elsie is going to save the day for some reason. This show has very strong female characters.
By the way, what was that white thing that he handed her? Was that just like a beacon to get QA to come?
I was wondering what that was. It looked like a fan.
It was a
Was it one of those, those rally
beacon.
point
Yeah.
calling call things? Yeah.
I wanted to be sure because it almost looked like it was like a container for one of the headpieces. But I was like, they've never mentioned any of this with Elsie and Bernard's storyline, so it couldn't be.
Yeah, I just want to go back to paracetamol because she's like, it's actually very difficult to kill yourself with pills. So yeah, she probably like slit her wrist too.
Ooh, we're not talking about suicide.
Yeah, we're not talking about that in the show. We
Addicted media doesn't want to talk about pills.
I take that back. I'm sorry. Lucas is going to nix that on the highlight reel. I did not say that. So SC.
what?
Oh, thank you, SC,
SC
for
also
confirming.
says we're in sync, so we're good.
Awesome.
I pulled a lot of clips, so I want to make sure we hit a lot of things here.
Yeah.
I mean, all the major plot points. Again, especially in this episode, which is the reason why I like this episode so much.
Smooth, Lucas.
Why'd you pull up this clip?
Oh, I was just going to talk about if he's not a host, how the hell is he still going?
Because his daughter brought him to the rally point, which had first aid.
You get shot that many times. I don't care what first aid is in that kit.
He
You
technically
need to see
has
a hospital.
Have you
bullets in him.
Have you heard of 50 Cent?
Oh my God, him and 50 Cent.
Shot 9 times.
It makes no sense.
It really doesn't though. Like seriously, there's only so much your adrenaline can help you out. But he's been shot multiple times. Even Emily was saying that he needs to go to a doctor, which is why she called the people to come get him.
I hate that you have a sign for it now. To mark your puns.
I think it's clever. Good job. One and Pun tomorrow at 7 a.m. Check it out on addictedmedia.net.
Everybody
It's an
here.
arc reactor.
Oh wait. It's hard to tell because it's definitely been for William.
Yes, Mary Poopins. I thought it looked like an arc reactor too. But continue, Carlo.
It's definitely been at least a day since he got shot, right? Would you guys say that? Few hours?
More than that.
Yeah,
Maybe a
little-
few days.
SC points out that you can see in the photo that she's tied up. She's tied up his wound. She's cleaned him up. But if you got bullets inside
He
of
still
you,
has bullets inside of him.
I mean, but how clean is the park? Because maybe infection's not really a thing. I'm sure paracetamol will chime in any minute now because she is in training in the medical field.
Oh,
but-
really? Oh, hey. Nice.
Eventually, infection sets in. There's that much blood. There's open wounds. You're in the wilderness.
Sepsis?
My thoughts. Sepsis. There's a good word.
Gangrene? Yeah. There's a lot that could be going on right now.
But he's just fine because we're in magical TV.
Yeah, I
world.
can imagine there's a pretty low risk of infection, especially if like every time an animal dies it gets cleaned up and put back.
Well, not only that,
Right?
even Teddy mentioned that whole world was built at the very end of the episode when they were talking about
Nature and its splendor.
yeah, but Teddy realized that whole thing was fake, including them. So with that being said, it might just be entirely sterile.
Rest in peace, Teddy.
I love this shot, by the way. I thought
Dolores
this was really
his
cool.
cornerstone, which is really lame because I thought the writers of his programming
So-
gave him his cornerstone.
So he is in his outfit though that he's in when he's floating in that lake.
So how does he get to the lake?
So
But wait, before we get to the lake, I do want to say that I did really like. Where the hell is it? I have it. I did really like the scene where
I
Teddy
said
first meets
sepsis,
Dolores.
hey. I know.
Where it's like, oh, like it was a beyond programming thing where it was love at first sight. Not because he was programmed that way, because he turned and he saw her and he was like, I was worried that you were cold. Like he thought about her. I don't know. Maybe it was programming, but I just thought it was a nice scene.
Yeah, it was nice.
Sorry.
That was the end of
Paracetamol's
it.
mad at me for giving her secrets away.
Go back to
I'm just kidding. She's going to be a lawyer. She may not even be a she. I don't know.
Wait, what? What?
She doesn't want. This person doesn't want me giving away any secrets, so now we're gonna veil it in mystery. Veil it in mystery, Jazz.
SC just made a comment that they said that there's no illness in the real world.
Yeah, we're so far in the future that
Yeah, the only thing that they have to combat is death itself. That's what Ford said in season 1.
I believe there's still mental illness.
There could, clearly.
Well, clearly.
Clearly.
But as far as
That's still considered an illness.
as far as infections and all that goes,
So like in the real world in Westworld timeline, clearly there has to be a huge difference between the rich and the poor.
So you're saying there's no illness in the west of the world?
Is that a pun? Because I'm just done now. Oh my god! Someone help us! Someone help us! But okay, so
Wow! Mary Poopin just killed that whole moment. He said that when Teddy met Dolores, all Dolores was thinking about was that can that she had to pick up from the general store.
All right. So, okay, I do want to bring it back because this whole season, all right, Westworld in its essence has kind of, they were like, all right, host, or at least in last week's episode, Lucas was like blood versus bolts, or blood over bolts, right? So now we have a situation where, the last episode Kiksuya?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last episode was Kiksuya.
Wait. We never got last episode real quick.
personal, basically, yes, everyone's bacteria, virus-free, resistant.
Carlo, can
We
you
would
say
think.
Kiksuya? Because you never said it last episode, and I really wanted to hear it.
Kitsuya?
Well,
Oh, well, that's not fun.
you have to have it written out for him to say it.
But if you say it incorrectly, that's what we want.
Yeah, he has to read it.
Yeah, you're okay.
Right?
Continue.
I'm right here.
Continue your point.
So my point is that Westworld, shit. Thanks for fucking. I'm off my point now. Westworld. It initially starts with blood versus bolts, and Kiksuya kind of brought it to the point where the hosts have these emotions that are very human-like, like they feel. And this episode kind of further expanded on that with like the death of Teddy and how Dolores felt. And this episode was all about choice and like really what makes I think there was one person that said was it William that said it, or the Man in Black? He was just like, all we are a collection of choices.
That was a good quote. I like that one.
So that really brought it home to me because at this point, they're all on the same playing field. At this point, all the hosts are very humanized. Maeve, she went off her script. Even Ford was saying, hey, you're on the script, but you went away from it because you wanted your daughter. So there really is no difference at this point. It's really talking about our humanity in general and like the choices that we make as people and what makes us a good person or good people in this world. And I thought that this episode was really deep, which is why I really liked it.
And there's weight to the hosts now because they're not immortal anymore.
They're not immortal. They blew up the cradle, and Dolores is trying to get to the Forge or the Valley Beyond. We don't even know what that is yet, but we know to a certain extent it may hold rich people's cognitive
But they may
self.
not be aware that they have copies of themselves in there because Delos was doing it all in the DL.
All that really matters is that we know how Teddy dies now, so he is the one floating in the pool, and
He's not in Bernard.
in
He
a
isn't.
pool,
or
in the lake.
like in an episode of CSI.
Lucas,
Floating in the pool.
for people Carlos' size, any body of water is a pool.
Ouch.
So is there anything that you guys out there want to talk about? Because I don't know. This is the reason why I love Westworld. It's because it's a very thought-provoking show. It really...
well, we basically covered a lot of the topics already, so let's wrap it up.
Let's do it.
What do you guys? What's your final thoughts on tonight's episodes, and where do you guys think that
I really enjoyed this particular scene just because it was... I like any scene set in the real world, but I forgot completely that the wife was an alcoholic.
Yeah, that's
And she
deep.
kind of swooped in with this personality that at first you're like, oh, she's really cool. Like they're all talking shit to the Man in Black because he's educated, and they're like, oh, I forgot you poor kids read books. The rich people don't read. And she comes in and she like, I'm a rich kid and I read books.
Yeah.
And like I liked her just based on that. And then all downhill because you're like, oh, but then she's an alcoholic. And then it's this roller coaster of like, oh, but she's an alcoholic because she knows that he's an asshole. And then no one believes her.
I mean, but like not just an asshole, but like a monster.
A monster apparently
A
in her
monster
eyes.
that only admits it when he thinks that she's sleeping. And it won't tell anybody. But he has to suspect that she heard the whole thing and that's why she did it, right?
Well, she did. She did hear the whole thing, and
Well,
she was
we
just
know
like,
we know she heard it, but the question is, did William hear it?
Because he had to have known that the profile card went missing because she took it and she put it in the music box.
And
he
William
had to have
didn't know.
remembered that he put it in the book.
Yeah, but William didn't know it went missing.
How did
By
he
the way,
not?
did you catch what book he hid it in?
I
did
didn't.
not.
What book
What was
was it?
It was Slaughterhouse 5,
I don't even know
which
what
is
that is.
also a very confusing non-linear story.
I need to look that up because I don't know what Slaughterhouse 5 is. Educate me, Lucas.
It's a very important book that we can talk about later. We're doing final thoughts.
All right.
Mary Poppins is all over the place. Man, poor Clementine, she just can't die. Let her rest in peace. And then she got drunk. I believe that the then she got drunk was talking about Rachel, the wife, not Clementine. Although
that her name?
Clementine drunk in zombie form, I would watch that episode. I would watch like 15 minutes of that because she would be either hilarious or the creepiest, weirdest thing ever. She plays that creepy vibe very, very well. Just her
Exactly.
standing there like with the hand up, like zombieing everybody.
Yeah.
So odd.
You're absolutely right, Paracetamol. He knows exactly why she ended her life, which is why he takes it very seriously. And he doesn't want to tell his daughter. There's like some guilt, some denial that he's going through right now.
Well, he'll never tell his daughter now.
Well, ooh. Yeah, that's true.
Unless she was the host. Then he might tell her
Unless she's
later.
in the forge and he's going to bring her back, which is just ridiculous.
And then he'll forge a new relationship with her.
And he did that. And there's the card. Don't support this. I'm just kidding.
It's my birthday. Be nice to me.
Damn it. That's why I got you 3 cakes.
It's my birthday. Be nice to me.
Anything else in the episode?
I like Man in Black's choice in Scotch, Macallan.
Okay, besides that,
You know what? I didn't enjoy this episode. I'll do the hot take, and I did not enjoy this episode.
I'm with. I said that when they were both like, "This is my favorite episode of the season."
Yeah.
I was like, "This was a damn depressing episode."
Yeah,
It
it was.
I did not
it
want to
was
watch
a lot-
this episode on my birthday.
It was a lot to have to take in. Like everything leading up to this episode was such a cool ride. You know,
Cruel or cool?
Cool.
Okay.
Like it was interesting. It was like, oh, we're like watching one of the best sci-fi shows that's come out in a long time, and then this shit happened.
I do
and I'm
feel
like, oh, okay, this is a lot heavier than I would have liked to have dealt with.
I feel like it was a
an episode of
necessary
Westworld.
episode, though. Like
It's what?
I didn't like it, but I appreciated what it was and why
Yeah,
it's there, and I
'Cause
feel like
now-
it's a necessary
right, it
stepping
was a
stone.
necessary episode to establish motives for all these characters, but the way they went about it, it was like I didn't walk away feeling good.
But I think that's the whole point about it. Like, there's stakes in the matter. Like, it makes you. This is more than just a sci-fi show with like cool guns and hosts and shit and naked people and fucking like gruesome killings. Like, they're actually questioning like what makes you human. Like, at the end of the day, what makes you human? It's the good choices, the bad choices. Like I said, that quote, collection of choices. That's what we are.
SC enjoyed this the least, also, so you are in the minority.
Unpopular opinion. This fucking episode was dope as fuck.
Maybe. Well, I was gonna say something really dark, but I'm not gonna say it.
Say it.
Maybe you just enjoy depressing things.
That's not dark at all. I enjoy
know I
real
do.
shit.
I like depressing things.
Life. This is life,
I enjoy real shit, like when my robots get depressing and sad and kill each other.
dude. It's beyond robots at this point. It's beyond robots. I think that's why you guys don't like The Walking Dead.
Well, The Walking Dead is
it's
just
full of robots.
dumb. 'cause
that's based in real life, also. Jeez.
Let's wrap this
Let's
up.
wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
Even SC wrapped it up. She said, "Thanks for the jackknife."
SC was giving us the hit. It's time to go.
Let's go. Great episode, Westworld.
All right, final thoughts.
That was it. That was
Oh,
mine.
well,
She gave hers. That was me.
Well, I didn't do my final thoughts yet.
Yeah.
So
Really?
chill. In all honesty, my final thoughts really are finale next week. They're all going to be at the Valley. That's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Maeve is going to get there. I think she's going to get saved by her band, and
Of
she's going
merry
to get the
men?
hell out of there. I think, honestly, that whole rewriting, I think she's going to break through some codes, and people that are supposed to be dead might come back to life. They're doing some zombie host things now.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting to see where they go with it and how they set up another season, though. Because if that's not a door to the outside world, then we're still stuck in the park. And it'll be interesting to see how everybody reacts to that. They're just trapped there, or if it's somebody gets on a Delos plane or helicopter and gets the hell out at the last second. But that's mine.
I think season 3 is going to explore the outside world for sure.
My final thoughts, but before I start that, I do not think that's going to happen. I think we're going to stay within this world. But regardless, as far as wrapping up this season, everyone's going to be at the fortress. And
The Forge.
or forge, whatever. At the end of the day,
Use the forge, Carlo.
I think that Dolores is going to come through some very tough choices in the final episodes, but I think she's going to make the bad choices. And I think that's what's going to be haunting her in season 3. As far as Maeve goes, if she is reprogramming herself and she does get rescued, the question is now, how is she going to go about this recovery?
We know, SC. We're just kidding with you.
I don't think she's going to be at the forge. I think she's still going to try to find her daughter. Because we know the daughter is alive. The daughter is with the Ghost Nation tribe. So she's going to still continue that path. And as far as William goes, I don't think he's a host. So we're gonna obviously continue that scene, but we're gonna find out that he's real and he's gonna be dealing with the consequences of what the hell is real and what is not.
Yeah.
I think they've closed the door on William being a host, and we're in a whole new maze of possibilities.
And
Another
So the show
pun.
is forging ahead.
and on that
Damn, that was
note,
actually really good.
thank you guys for tuning in.
Wow.
Again, if you have any comments, we'll hit them up right now. Type it in. We'll get to you guys next week. Don't forget to hit that like, comment, subscribe button.
Don't forget, as we come close to the end of this, if you have other shows, other things that you would like us to review, please let us know either here in the comments or in the comments on the video when it gets posted to YouTube. We have some ideas, but we'd love to hear your thoughts on what we should do next.
And my name is Carlo.
I'm Nick. Again, make sure you check out the new show, One and Pun, premiering tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. on the Addicted Media channel. It is 20 minutes of awesomeness, all about true trilogies, and me doing a shit ton of puns.
Gotta say thank you to Jasmine and Lucas for giving us the new mics. Hope you guys like the new audio. And good night, guys.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Wonderful
Oh,
evening.
Monday next week.
Oh, yeah. Final
Monday next
episode,
week. Join
Monday,
us.
June 25th.
Later, guys.